Have you ever felt like everyone around you is crazy? Like people just don't make sense? Well, here's the truth, they're not crazy and you're not alone. There's a simple science behind why people act so differently, and once you understand it, every confusing moment in your life will suddenly make sense. Today I'm going to show you a system that has helped millions of people understand human behavior better. It's called the 4-color system, and it's based on real psychology research from the last 50 years. Here's how it works. Every person falls into one of 4 types based on 2 simple questions. First question, do they care more about getting tasks done, or do they care more about relationships with people? Second question, do they get energy from being around others, or do they need alone time to recharge? When you put these 2 things together, you get 4 completely different personality types, and I'm going to show you how to spot each type in just 30 seconds. Let me start with the first dimension. Some people are task-focused. They care about results, deadlines, and getting things done. When they're working on something, they don't care much about feelings or who's involved. They just want it finished. Now think about the opposite type. Some people are relationship-focused. For them, the people involved matter just as much as the work itself. They want everyone to feel good and be happy with the process. Neither way is right or wrong, they're just different. But here's the problem. When these 2 types work together, they drive each other crazy. The task person thinks the relationship person wastes time with feelings and small talk. The relationship person thinks the task person is cold and mean. This happens everywhere, in offices and marriages and friendships. And most people have no idea this is what's causing the problem. Now let's talk about the second dimension, introvert versus extrovert. Forget everything you think you know about these words. In real psychology, extrovert doesn't mean loud or outgoing. It means you get energy from outside things, people, activity, conversations, new experiences. Extroverts think while they talk. They make decisions fast. They need to discuss things out loud to understand them. Introverts are the opposite. They get energy from being alone and thinking deeply. They need quiet time to process information. They think first then talk. They need time before making decisions. And here's the big mistake people make. Introverts are not shy and extroverts are not shallow. These are just different ways our brains work. An introvert can be great with people. They just need alone time after to recharge their battery. An extrovert can be deep and thoughtful. They just need to talk through ideas to make sense of them. So what happens when you combine these 2 dimensions? You get 4 personality types, and each one has its own color to make them easy to remember. Let me introduce you to all 4 types right now. Type 1 is red. Red people are task-focused and extroverted. They're direct, fast, and always focused on results. They make quick decisions, they hate wasting time, and they don't care if people like them or not. Think of a boss who cuts through all the nonsense, or a leader who makes tough choices without hesitation. Red people get things done, but they can seem pushy and aggressive to others. Type 2 is yellow. Yellow people are relationship-focused and extroverted. They love people, they're always optimistic, and they have tons of energy. They're the ones who talk to everyone at parties, who come up with creative ideas, and who make everything fun. Yellow people are great at building connections, but they can talk too much and sometimes don't finish what they start. Type 3 is green. Green people are relationship-focused and introverted. They're calm, patient, and extremely loyal. They're the peacemakers who listen carefully, who remember your birthday, and who ask how you're really doing. Green people avoid conflict, they value harmony, and they take their time with decisions. They're wonderful friends, but sometimes they let people walk all over them because they hate confrontation. Type 4 is blue. Blue people are task-focused and introverted. They're analytical, precise, and obsessed with quality. They need all the facts before deciding anything. They follow systems, they check everything twice, and they want things done perfectly. Think of accountants, engineers, or scientists, people who care deeply about accuracy and details. Blue people produce excellent work, but they can seem cold and overly critical to others. Now here's what you must understand. Everyone has all 4 colors inside them. Nobody is pure red or pure yellow or pure green or pure blue. But most people have 1 or 2 dominant colors that control most of their behavior. It's like having a main personality with a little bit of the others mixed in. The key is figuring out which color is strongest in you and which colors are strongest in the people around you. Once you know this, everything changes. You'll understand why your boss always rushes you, they're red. You'll understand why your coworker talks so much, they're yellow. You'll understand why your partner never wants to argue, they're green. You'll understand why your friend needs so many details, they're blue. And most importantly, you'll learn how to change the way you communicate with each type so they actually hear what you're saying. Let me go deeper into red people first. Red personalities are driven by one big question: what can we accomplish? They focus on winning, on being efficient, and on getting results. They talk in short sentences. They interrupt people who ramble. They make decisions incredibly fast, sometimes too fast. Research shows that red types are amazing in crisis situations. When everyone else is panicking, they're already solving the problem. They're natural leaders because they're willing to make decisions that others won't. They don't need people to like them, they need to be effective and successful. But here's where red types struggle. Other people see them as mean, aggressive, and controlling. They ignore people's feelings completely. They don't ask for opinions, they just tell everyone what to do. They care more about the goal than the team, which makes people angry and burned out. Imagine you're working with a red person. You come to them upset about a problem. Instead of listening to your feelings or caring about how you feel, they immediately jump to fixing it. Here's what you do. Problem solved. Next. You walk away feeling like they don't care about you even if their solution was actually good. This is the red paradox. They're incredibly good at achieving goals, but they destroy relationships while doing it. They don't mean to hurt people. They genuinely don't understand why feelings matter when there's important work to be done. If you're dealing with a red person, here's what you need to know. Get to the point fast. Don't waste their time with long stories. Show them results, not processes. Be direct and confident. Never be too emotional or they'll dismiss you. And if you are a red person, you need to learn something important. Slowing down for 2 minutes to acknowledge someone's feelings will actually help you achieve your goals faster, because people will want to help you instead of sabotaging you. Now let's talk about yellow people. Completely different energy. Yellow personalities are driven by one question: is this fun? They're creative, spontaneous, and endlessly optimistic. They walk into any room and start talking to strangers within seconds. They come up with 10 new ideas before lunch. They're charming, persuasive, and full of emotion. Research shows that yellow types are exceptional at building relationships, creating excitement, and inspiring teams. They're the ones who bring energy to boring meetings, who convince people to try new things, and who make work feel less like work. Everyone likes being around yellow people because they make everything more enjoyable. But here's where yellow types struggle. They talk way too much. They don't listen well because they're already thinking about what they want to say next. They start 100 projects but finish almost none of them. They make promises they forget about. They're always late because they got distracted by something more interesting. Imagine working with a yellow person. You're in a meeting trying to discuss something important. The yellow person interrupts with a funny story that has nothing to do with the topic. Then they suggest 5 different ideas in 3 minutes without thinking any of them through. Then they check their phone. Then they remember another story. Meanwhile, nothing is getting done. This is the yellow paradox. They're amazing at getting people excited but terrible at following through. They don't mean to be flaky, they're just genuinely interested in everything and they can't help themselves. If you're dealing with a yellow person, here's what works. Make things fun and interesting. Give them attention and praise. Let them talk but gently guide them back on track. Get agreements in writing because they will forget. Don't give them boring, repetitive tasks or they'll quit. And if you are a yellow person, you need to learn something. People will take you more seriously if you occasionally stop talking and actually finish something you started. Your ideas are great, but ideas without execution are just daydreams. Let's move to green people now. Green personalities are driven by one question: is everyone okay? They care deeply about stability, harmony, and making sure no one is upset. They're patient, calm, and incredibly loyal. They're the ones who notice when you're having a bad day, who check in on you, who remember details about your life. Research shows that green types are the glue that holds teams together. They're fantastic listeners. They create safe, peaceful environments. They're reliable and steady. You always know what you're getting with a green person. No drama, no surprises, just consistent support. But here's where green types struggle. They avoid conflict at all costs. Even when someone is treating them badly, they won't speak up because they don't want confrontation. They let people take advantage of them. They say yes when they mean no. They hold in their feelings until one day they explode or they just quietly disappear from your life. Imagine working with a green person. They're doing way more work than everyone else, but they never complain. Someone takes credit for their idea, they say nothing. Someone asks them to stay late again, they agree even though they're exhausted. They seem fine on the outside, but inside they're building resentment. This is the green paradox. They're so focused on keeping peace that they create bigger problems by not addressing small ones early. They don't mean to be doormats. They genuinely believe that avoiding conflict is the kind thing to do. If you're dealing with a green person, here's what you need to know. Give them time to make decisions, don't rush them. Create a safe space where they can share opinions without judgment. Thank them often because they won't ask for recognition. Be gentle with criticism. And please don't take advantage of their kindness. If you are a green person, you need to learn something crucial. Saying no and setting boundaries doesn't make you mean. It makes you healthy. People will actually respect you more when you stand up for yourself. Finally, let's talk about blue people. Blue personalities are driven by one question: is this correct? They care about accuracy, quality, and doing things the right way. They need data and facts before making any decision. They're systematic, logical, and perfectionistic. They follow rules carefully. They plan everything in detail. They check their work multiple times. Research shows that blue types are exceptional at complex problem-solving, quality control, and creating reliable systems. They catch mistakes everyone else misses. They think through all the possibilities before acting. They produce work that is thorough, accurate, and well-organized. But here's where blue types struggle. They're slow. Really slow. They get stuck analyzing every tiny detail instead of making progress. They're critical of everything, including themselves. They come across as cold and unfriendly because they focus on logic, not emotion. They resist change because change disrupts their carefully planned systems. Imagine working with a blue person. You need a decision by tomorrow. You bring them 3 good options. Instead of choosing one, they start asking for more information. What about this scenario? Did you consider that factor? Have you analyzed these other possibilities? Days go by. Still no decision. You're frustrated because any choice would have been fine, but they need it to be perfect. This is the blue paradox. Their need for perfection prevents them from achieving anything. They don't mean to be difficult. They genuinely can't feel comfortable deciding without complete information. If you're dealing with a blue person, here's what works. Give them data, not feelings. Provide information in writing so they can review it carefully. Give them time to analyze, don't force quick decisions. Show them your process and logic. Don't be offended by their questions. They're not attacking you, they're just being thorough. And if you are a blue person, you need to learn something. Perfect is the enemy of good. Sometimes an 80% solution implemented today is better than a 100% solution that never happens. People aren't judging you as harshly as you judge yourself. Now I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking this is just putting people in boxes. Everyone is unique. You can't categorize humans like this. And you're absolutely right, everyone is unique. But here's the thing. Having a framework doesn't mean ignoring individuality. It means having a starting point for understanding someone. Think about it like this. When you meet someone from a different culture, understanding general cultural norms helps you avoid mistakes. But you still treat them as an individual. You still get to know them personally. The framework just gives you a better starting point than complete ignorance. Same principle here. Recognizing someone's personality type doesn't mean you stop seeing them as a complex human being. It means you can adapt your communication style to connect with them more effectively from day one instead of spending years confused about why they act the way they do. Here's what you need to understand about how these types interact with each other. Some combinations work naturally together while others create constant friction. Red and yellow often work well together because they're both fast-paced and outgoing. They both like action and quick decisions. But they clash when red wants results and yellow wants fun. Green and blue often work well together because they're both careful and thoughtful. They both take time with decisions and avoid risk. But they clash when blue wants perfect systems and green just wants everyone to get along. Red and blue clash constantly because red decides fast while blue needs time to analyze. Red thinks blue is slow and overcomplicated. Blue thinks red is reckless and sloppy. Yellow and green clash because yellow wants constant change and excitement while green wants stability and peace. Yellow thinks green is boring. Green thinks yellow is exhausting. But here's the beautiful thing. Once you understand these patterns, you can prevent most conflicts before they even start. If you're a red working with a blue, you can learn to give them the data they need before pushing for a decision. If you're a yellow working with a green, you can learn to tone down your energy and give them space to process. If you're a green working with a red, you can learn to be more direct and focus on results, not feelings. If you're a blue working with a yellow, you can learn to tolerate some messiness and spontaneity. The goal is not to change who you are. The goal is to flex your communication style when dealing with someone different from you. It's like speaking a different language. You don't become a different person. You just adjust how you express yourself so the other person can actually understand you. Let me give you some practical examples of how to apply this in real life. Imagine you need to ask your boss for time off. If your boss is red, be direct and brief. Don't tell a long story. Just say, I need these dates off, here's my plan for covering my work, and here's why this won't cause problems. Done. If your boss is yellow, make it fun and personal. Tell them about your exciting plans. Make them laugh. Build connection first, then ask. They'll probably say yes just because they like you. If your boss is green, reassure them it won't create conflict or extra work for others. Show them you've thought about the team. Be warm and appreciative. They'll say yes to avoid disappointing you. If your boss is blue, provide all details in writing ahead of time. Show them exactly how your absence will be managed. Give them time to think about it. Follow the proper procedure. They'll say yes once they've confirmed everything is handled correctly. Same request. For completely different approaches. And here's the thing, if you use the wrong approach with the wrong type, you'll get rejected even when you deserve the time off. A red boss will say no if you waste their time with a long emotional story. A yellow boss will say no if you're boring and formal about it. A green boss will say no if you make it seem like it will cause problems for others. A blue boss will say no if you spring it on them without proper notice and documentation. See how this works? It's not about manipulating people. It's about communicating in the language they understand. You're saying the same thing, but you're packaging it differently based on what matters to each type. Let's try another example. Imagine you need to give someone negative feedback about their work. If they're red, be direct and focus on results. Say this approach isn't getting the results we need. Here's what needs to change and here's why. Don't sugarcoat it. They'll respect your honesty. If they're yellow, start with something positive. Make it about improvement, not criticism. Say, I love your creativity and enthusiasm. I want to help you be even more successful. Here's one thing we can work on together. They need to feel you're on their side. If they're green, be incredibly gentle and private. Never criticize them in front of others. Say, I really value you and I want to help. There's something we should talk about. Is now a good time? Give them space to process. Reassure them you're not angry. If they're blue, give specific examples and data. Say, I noticed these 3 instances where this happened. Here's the impact. Here's the standard we're aiming for. What's your perspective? They want logic, not emotion. Same feedback. For completely different delivery methods. And again, if you use the wrong method with the wrong type, you'll create damage instead of improvement. A red person will think you're weak if you sugarcoat everything. A yellow person will be devastated if you're too harsh. A green person might quit if you embarrass them publicly. A blue person will dismiss you if you're vague and emotional instead of specific and logical. This is why so many workplace conflicts happen. People give feedback the way they want to receive it instead of adapting to how the other person needs to receive it. Now let me tell you about the biggest mistakes each type makes and how to fix them. If you're a red person, your biggest mistake is moving too fast and running over people. You see a problem and you immediately implement a solution without getting input from others. Then you're confused when people resist or sabotage your idea. Here's what you need to do. Slow down for just 5 minutes before making big decisions. Ask 2 or 3 people for their thoughts. You don't have to follow their advice, but asking shows respect. And here's the thing, you'll actually achieve your goals faster because people will support you instead of fighting you. Your strength is decisiveness, but your weakness is creating enemies unnecessarily. If you're a yellow person, your biggest mistake is starting too many things and finishing too few. You get excited about new ideas constantly, but you abandon projects before completing them. People stop taking you seriously because they know you won't follow through. Here's what you need to do: finish just one thing completely before starting something new. Force yourself. It will be boring and hard, but doing it will change how people see you. And here's the thing: people will actually listen to your ideas more when they know you can execute, not just dream. Your strength is creativity and enthusiasm, but your weakness is being seen as flaky and unreliable. If you're a green person, your biggest mistake is avoiding conflict until small problems become huge problems. Someone does something that bothers you. You say nothing. They do it again. You say nothing. They do it again. You say nothing. Then one day you've had enough, and either you explode in anger, which shocks everyone because you're usually so calm, or you just quietly remove yourself from the situation without explaining why. Here's what you need to do: practice having small, uncomfortable conversations early before resentment builds. You don't have to be aggressive. Just honest. Say, "Hey, can we talk about something that's bothering me? I really value our relationship and I want to address this before it becomes a bigger issue." Your strength is creating harmony, but your weakness is sacrificing yourself to maintain false peace. If you're a blue person, your biggest mistake is getting stuck in analysis paralysis. You need more information. You need to consider more variables. You need to check one more time. Meanwhile, opportunities pass you by because you couldn't pull the trigger on a decision. Here's what you need to do: set a deadline for decisions and stick to it. Tell yourself, "I will gather information until Friday, then I will choose the best option available, even if it's not perfect." And here's the thing: you'll realize that most decisions don't need to be perfect to be good enough. Your strength is thoroughness and quality, but your weakness is letting perfectionism prevent progress. Let me share something personal with you. When I first learned about these 4 types, I immediately started categorizing everyone in my life. My boss is definitely red. My coworker is so yellow it hurts. My partner is totally green. My friend is obviously blue. And at first I thought I had it all figured out. But then something interesting happened. I realized I was using this knowledge as an excuse. "Oh, they're just being red. Oh, that's such yellow behavior." I was labeling people instead of truly understanding them. And that's when I learned the most important lesson about this system. The goal is not to put people in boxes and leave them there. The goal is to use these patterns as a starting point for deeper understanding and better communication. Yes, your boss might be red, but they're also a complex human with fears, dreams, and insecurities. Yes, your partner might be green, but they also have days when they're assertive and direct. People are not one-dimensional. They're messy, complicated, and constantly changing. This framework helps you navigate that complexity. It doesn't replace the need to see people as individuals. So here's what I want you to do after watching this. First, figure out your own dominant color. Think about how you naturally behave when you're comfortable and not trying to impress anyone. Are you focused on tasks or relationships? Do you get energy from people or alone time? This will tell you your primary type. Second, identify the colors of the 3 most important people in your life. Could be your boss, your partner, your best friend. Really observe how they communicate and what they care about. Third, here's the key: pick just one relationship where you're struggling. One person who drives you crazy. One situation that keeps causing conflict. Now ask yourself, what would change if I communicated with this person in their language instead of mine? What if instead of expecting them to adapt to me, I adapted to them? Try it for 1 week. Just 1 week. Adjust how you talk to them based on their type. See what happens. I promise you'll be surprised. Now I want to hear from you. Which color resonated most strongly with you? Are you a direct, results-focused red who gets impatient with slowness? Are you an enthusiastic, people-loving yellow who gets bored easily? Are you a calm, harmony-seeking green who avoids conflict? Are you a detailed perfectionist blue who needs time to analyze? Drop your color in the comments. And here's the second question. Which type do you struggle with most? Which color drives you absolutely crazy? Tell me about it. I'm reading every single comment because I'm genuinely curious how these patterns show up differently for different people. Here's something else I want you to think about. What if the person you find most difficult isn't actually difficult? What if they're just a different color than you and neither of you has learned to speak the other's language? That annoying coworker who always rushes you, maybe they're red and they think you're wasting time. That frustrating friend who never stops talking, maybe they're yellow and they think you're too serious. That partner who never shares their feelings, maybe they're green and they're scared of conflict. That colleague who asks too many questions, maybe they're blue and they need data to feel comfortable. Once you stop seeing behavior as good or bad and start seeing it as just different, everything shifts. You stop taking things personally. You stop judging. You start problem solving instead of complaining. Let me leave you with one final thought. In a perfect world, everyone would adapt to you. Everyone would communicate the way you prefer. Everyone would care about what you care about. But we don't live in a perfect world. We live in a world full of reds and yellows and greens and blues, all trying to work together despite speaking completely different languages. You have two choices. Choice 1, keep doing what you've always done. Keep expecting everyone else to change. Keep getting frustrated when they don't. Keep having the same conflicts over and over. Choice 2, learn to flex. Learn to adapt. Learn to communicate in 4 different languages depending on who you're talking to. It's more work, yes, but it's also more effective. It's also more rewarding. It's also the mark of emotional intelligence and mature leadership. The people who succeed in life aren't the ones who refuse to change. They're the ones who can shift their style depending on the situation. They can be direct with reds. They can be warm with yellows. They can be patient with greens. They can be detailed with blues. And they do this without losing themselves. That's the real skill. That's what separates good communicators from great ones. So I'm challenging you today. Stop waiting for everyone else to understand you. Start understanding them instead. The moment you take responsibility for being understood instead of demanding to be understood, everything changes. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you found value here, do me a favor. Share this video with one person who needs to hear it. Maybe it's someone you're struggling to communicate with. Maybe it's someone who's struggling to communicate with you. Maybe it's just someone who wants to understand people better. Either way, this knowledge is too valuable to keep to yourself. And if you want more content like this about psychology, communication, and understanding human behavior, hit that subscribe button because I create videos like this every single week. Until next time, remember, they're not crazy and neither are you. You're just speaking different languages. Learn theirs and watch what happens.